Chapter 75. Rimuru marched to Lilith's side of the facility, Alset, with Jahil in tow, walking a distance behind the furious Rimuru. Seeing Lilith welding a machine that neither he nor Jahil could understand, she stood up from the floor and walked toward them. "Yo Chief, what can I do for you?" she asked, noticing Jahil sweating bullets behind Rimuru. "I heard you were supposed to report to me about stuff missing in Advanza," Rimuru stated, his tone calm but laced with anger. Lilith quickly picked up on it and answered as best she could. "Missing? I don't know about some stuff missing here in Alset, maybe in Darwin." Confused, she turned to her bracelet, tapped on a bead, and a hologram floated above her open palm. Swiping through it and scanning her inventories and armories, she muttered, "Shit, there are some things missing here." Rimuru's anger intensified. "Didn't Jahil mention this to you? He told me you said you'd do the reporting so he wouldn't have to." He pinched the bridge of his nose. "Hey Chief, this is the first I'm hearing of that. In fact, this is the first I'm noticing anything missing from my own things." Lilith countered, genuinely worried about what else was stolen. "Hey Lilith, the gnome I set up for you should have told you everything," Jahil mentioned, trying to jog Lilith's memory. "This only happens because you mute everything, zoning out and not wanting to be interrupted." He blamed her habits, pointing out the isolation room in Lilith's section of Advanza where everything is blocked, from technological to magical interference. "Don't blame this on me. It was your gnome spouting random nonsense," she shouted back. As the two continued to blame each other, Rimuru massaged his temple. The fact remained, some things in Advanza were missing. The perpetrator was either one of these two or a third party altogether, suggesting a traitor or infiltrator in Citadel. "Lilith, tell me what's missing in your sector. You too, Jahil, mention the most valuable and dangerous ones first, then write the rest in a report and upload it to my office." The two nodded, browsing their lists. Lilith used her bracelet, while Jahil preferred a tablet. Jahil raised his hand first. "High human DNA and a manual on how to make them. The rest are basic experimental tools and dissection instruments, including an old version of the chambers I used." Lilith was shocked. "For me, there's this DNA I brought from my world, Lunarian DNA. I mentioned it before, how they were an extinct race, but I managed to make clones. Luckily, the weapons aren't missing, the dangerous ones are sealed, even from me. Some of my journals are missing too, but they were more like diaries. The rest are basic equipment and tools." Rimuru would have fainted if he weren't a demon. "So let me get this straight. High human DNA and Lunarian DNA are both missing, along with tools on how to make them. Is that right?" He held his hand to his temple. Both scientists paled at Rimuru's words. "We have someone in Citadel. Jahil, take that gnome to Ultima immediately. Lilith, check all surveillance and get help from the cherubs and holy angels on the records of who entered and left Citadel for the past decade." Valdanava and Lucia immersed themselves in the lively 5-day festival held in the vibrant city they visited. The streets were alive with music, laughter, and the tantalizing aroma of street food. They danced, mingled with joyous citizens, and even joined in local games. "Hey, you there," a woman's voice called as Valdanava and Lucia watched the dancing performance of the townspeople. "Come join us," she gestured with a smile. Lucia and Valdanava, dressed in festival clothes matching the style of the citizens, looked more approachable and inconspicuous. Valdanava raised a brow at the woman who invited them, thinking it was another one of those people. "You can go ahead, it's not like anyone will stop you." Valdanava smiled at Lucia, who hopped right into the fray. The sound of the music, coming from percussion and string instruments Valdanava couldn't name, filled the air. As he watched happily, more people joined in the dance. He sensed there were more than 100 dancers in the streets. "Wait a minute, those are all," Lucia pulled him into the dance, and he let himself be dragged in. The two enjoyed the moment, with Valdanava forgetting his earlier thought as soon as he saw Lucia dancing. "That was amazing, I really had fun." Lucia jumped with joy, recalling her performance with the townspeople. "Look, that food seems tasty," she pointed, her attention captured by the aroma of street food, still holding Valdanava's hand. "Hey, aren't you that waitress from yesterday?" Valdanava narrowed his eyes at the woman cooking meat on the grill. "Ah. The chestnut-haired woman, Femina, laughed dryly. "My boss wants to earn a lot of money at this festival." She handed Lucia 3 skewers, who, luckily for the woman, wasn't listening, too invested in the food. "Your boss must really work you to the bone," Valdanava remarked, noting the high number of people involved. He knows, it would have been surprising if he hasn't actually considering we have so many here. Femina genuinely thought, as most of the townspeople on the performance earlier were with them. You have to try this. Lucia gave Veldanova one of the skewers. The sauce is really good. Ah, that was specially made, Femina commented. If you like that taste, some of my friends are working food stalls over there. She pointed a few meters away at a long line. Just tell them Fem sent you, and you'll get priority. I promise. She smiled proudly. Thank you. Lucia bowed, finished her skewers, and pulled Veldanova toward the other stalls. That was nerve-wracking, Femina muttered under her breath. ... Rudra and Rimuru eventually joined them, with Rudra, the king of Nazca, looking more drained than after his fiercest battles with the demon lord Guy. His exhaustion melted away as he partied with the city's inhabitants, even declaring that all drinks were on him. The joyous atmosphere was infectious, and soon Rudra was laughing and celebrating with everyone. As expected, the intense rivalry between Guy and Rudra continued. Guy fought with raw talent and immense strength, while Rudra showcased his exceptional skill and strategy. Although the battles were close, Guy's overwhelming power usually led him to victory. Observing these clashes were Rimuru, the silver primordial, and Velzard, the frost dragon. Velzard's initial indifference gave way to keen interest as the fights grew more heated. Rimuru observed with a critical eye, noting ways to help Rudra improve. Simultaneously, he engaged in a discreet conversation with Velzard. I see, Velzard said, her smile brightening at Rimuru's words. Lucia and Big Brother, is it? I could see that happening, and I am happy for the two. She gave her blessing, delighted that her brother had found someone he loved. Her eyes gave a quick glance to the red-haired demon swinging swords in the distance. And that's why I'm chaperoning Rudra, Rimuru explained, his eyes on the match about to reach its climax. He already knows about their relationship to some extent, but I can't let him interfere with the progress I've set up. Velzard giggled, you're really invested in those two. Rain, one of Velzard's attendants, poured her some tea. Misery and Rain prepared more tea for when Guy and Rudra finished their bout. I can't wait to chat with Lucia about this, Velzard added, a mischievous glint in her eyes. Guy, having just finished another intense bout with Rudra, took a seat at one of the prepared chairs, sighing as he leaned back. Speaking of, Rimuru, is it fine for you to exert effort on Rudra? He asked, curiosity piqued. I know that's a clone and all, but having one in another universe seems taxing. Considering that this one isn't a parallel existence. Rudra, who had just sat down as well, motioned for Misery to pour him some tea. If I can make Rudra stronger, I don't mind the struggle, Rimuru replied with a shrug. Guy gave him a skeptical look, clearly suspecting an ulterior motive. Rimuru laughed, fine, it's to spite you and because I'm bored at work. This helps me vent and calm down. And days turns to weeks, Lucia and Veldanova have gone on frequent outings with Rimuru and his subordinates in the sidelines making sure no one is on their way. Sir, the threat of declaration of war from the neighboring nation has been prevented. Rimuru-sama, the influx of monsters in the center of the continent have been dealt with. Great God, the rogue monsters plot to cause havoc on the city have been tortured and eliminated. These were merely some of the things they have prevented, making sure not even a word of this passed through the ears of the soon-to-be couple. With the rest of the time, infiltrating the places as citizens, travelers, merchants, and other occupation to support the creator. Of course, there are also other reports that were for the progress itself. The required environment for the events, the people in the back supporting and the atmosphere in the area. The two are heading to the city square. Scenario 1 Festival Dance. Femina. The saints are in position, starting the performance. Subordinate 1. They are going through the 3rd street. Scenario 3rd street stalls. Femina. The food stalls are ready. Subordinate 3. They went south, near the flea market. Scenario 4 Gift. Femina. The flowers and accessories are set in the flea market. Subordinate 4. They are nearing the fountain. Scenario 10 Night Dance. Femina. The couples and violinists are in position. Subordinate 10. Blocking all other routes. Completed. Subordinate 11. You guys are way too into this, especially you Femina. Rimuru commented as he hears all the reports and sees what is happening throughout the festival. The two literally went to all of those places and did those scenarios smoothly. Veldanova felt surreal and eventually just ignored them for his sake. Hee Sir Rimuru, pure couples really get me going. Femina's voice was heard as she laughed innocently. No mistakes. Weeks turned into months, and Veldanova and Lucia officially became a couple 7 months after the festival, a relationship orchestrated with Rimuru's subtle interventions. The announcement brought joy to everyone, though Rudra wasn't as surprised as expected. While stubborn and impulsive, Rudra wasn't oblivious to such matters, especially with Rimuru often keeping him occupied. I mean, seriously, Lucia is an open book and can barely hold a lie, Rudra laughed, explaining how he figured it out. Lucia turned away, embarrassed, as the others laughed at the situation. Veldanova thanked Rimuru, aware that many of the people facilitating their dates were Rimuru's subordinates, creating situations to foster their relationship. But seriously, 100 saints came to a simple city to pretend to be citizens just to dance and invite us to join in. Veldanova shook his head at Rimuru's unorthodox methods. Not to mention the waiters and street vendors are stronger than most people. He sighed, clearly impressed yet bemused by the scale and strength of Rimuru's forces. One day, Guy's voice was filled with irritation and exasperation as he faced the persistent man before him. Seriously, you're here again? Rudra, already preparing to attack, shot back, quiet. This game isn't over until I win. By now, duels between these two had become as routine as a simple hello. They clashed fiercely as usual, ending only when both were worn out. As always, the match resulted in a tie, prompting their usual bickering to start anew. Guy huffed, pointing upward, and I say that you are cheating with those on us, referring to the holy barrier that weakened him during their fights. And you keep spouting about justice, yet you use this unfair technique all the time. Leaning on the same large rebel, equally exhausted, Rudra retorted, shut up. Winning is justice. That's why I'm going to win. He glanced at Guy with a mix of defiance and amusement. You talk about cheating, but you keep copying my techniques. That move you just used was one I used last time. Yeah, well, whatever. If you wanted to beat me in the first place, you shouldn't have named me back then. You had a higher chance of winning then than you do now, Guy recalled, smirking at the memory of Rudra naming him crimson and collapsing from the effort. Rudra's eyes filled with contempt as he looked at Guy. Idiot, what's the point of beating you? I need you to acknowledge me so we can join forces and work together. Guy's eyebrows shot up in surprise. What? I swore to Veldanova that I would conquer this world. I know your job is to oppose me. That's why my goal is to obtain your approval, Rudra explained, a determined grin spreading across his face. Besides, I'm a bit urgent about this goal because of some stuff, he added, scratching his cheek. Some stuff, Guy repeated, intrigued. You know that Veldanova and my sister Lucia got married, right? Well, they're having a child. Lucia is pregnant with Veldanova's child, Rudra revealed, his expression a mix of emotions. Guy's face lit up with genuine amazement. That's incredible, what's wrong with it? Rudra then shared a crucial detail that left Guy speechless. Veldanova, having become almost indistinguishable from humans, had confided in Rudra that he was now bound by a lifespan, a limitation he had never faced before. Guy's expression turned serious. What are you going to do then? If we continue these matches, eventually one of us is going to die. I don't mean to sound arrogant here, but I doubt it'll be me. His tone was low, tinged with sadness. Personally, I don't really want to kill you. I like you, but if it means stopping this world from collapsing, I have to stop you. He held his right hand to his face, covering his eyes. Rudra considered Guy's words carefully. Then, how about a different game? ... Rimuru, really, this is beyond overboard, Veldanova glared at the overseer as they walked towards the city. When did you even set this all up? He turned to the large city they were currently in, the bustling streets filled with citizens doing their daily jobs. Except it wasn't an ordinary city, more than half of the inhabitants were saints, and the other half were spiritual beings on the same level. When I had Velgrind return home, I ordered a few thousand saints to build a city in this area, Rimuru stated plainly, as if it was a simple order like building a shed or making a garden in the backyard. Then I had the rest come in and make this place look like a genuine city. It is still months before Lucia's labor. I know you had this set up so we can be safe and all, but... Veldanova glanced at Rimuru, who was firm in his work. What? Rimuru smirked at Veldanova. It's not like you can stop me anymore. He jested with a somber tone. I know it will happen, but if anything, this will just fool my brain into thinking I at least tried. Rimuru looked down at the road, the time of Veldanova's death drawing closer and closer. Veldanova punched Rimuru on the shoulder, wincing at the fact that he didn't budge and his fist was numb. Don't worry too much, it's not the end of the world or anything. Veldanava scratched his head. Ah, I just remembered, Rimuru gave a glare to Veldanava. That was why I always felt something weird about Lucia, she has a part of my soul in her, doesn't she? Well, looks like it's finally revealed. Veldanava sighed. I guess one of the downsides of getting weaker, I can't really hide anything from you anymore. And yeah, Rudra also has a part of you in him as well. Veldanava stared at Rimuru, his eyes asking what he would do with this information. Nothing, I have gotten close to the siblings. Rimuru shrugged his shoulders, watching as Lucia and Rudra finally arrived near them. For what it's worth, I'll wait for their death patiently. Rimuru, I want you to promise something for me. To be continued.